The Lone Ranger. A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty Hi-Yo Silver. The Lone Ranger.
Well, Dan, did you get all the provisions?
Yes, sir. Oh, I also stopped by the post office. It was a letter from Tonto. He addressed it for me the way we arranged.
How does he like Washington, D.C.?
All right, I guess. But he says he misses the West. He claims he'd rather face a gun-crazy outlaw than try to cross a Washington street.
Too many carriages, Kemo Sabe. Well, Tonto will be back soon. You know, Dan, that was quite an honor for Tonto to be called to the Capitol and receive that award.
Yes, it was. But it was an honor he deserved. He's done a lot to better the relations between the settlers and the Indians out here.
He certainly has. Well, I see he's afraid you'll have to return to your college classes before he gets back here.
Well, I have another 3 weeks. It's been a short vacation, but a good one. I guess it pays to have the Lone Ranger for an uncle. Oh, by the way, I brought back a newspaper from town.
The Gold Creek Clarion. This is James Curtis, publisher.
Yeah, the newspaper is just starting. This is its first edition.
Well, apparently they're having an election for sheriff.
A paper supporting a Marshal Grant. Haven't we heard of him, sir?
Yes, Dan, we have. He was marshal in Texas a few years ago. It seems the governor appointed him temporary marshal here in Gold Creek.
I remember Tonto speaking of him as a good lawman.
Yes, Grant is... Well, that's strange. Look at this item. Large crime increase the past week. Why should there be an outbreak of lawlessness a week before election? Clean elections are very important.
Maybe we should look into this one, sir.
We'll water and feed the horses, and then go on to Gold Creek.
There, Jimmy. Volume 1, issue number 2. All I have to do now is set up my editorial. Oh, good morning, Mr. Hawkins.
Good morning, Miss Curtis. Brought over your groceries.
I'll get your money.
Oh, you can pay me when you come by. Do you have an extra copy of the Clarion?
We're all sold out.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. I understand you came out for Marshal Grant for sheriff.
Yes.
You ought to back the winning horse, Mrs. Curtis. Luke Potter will be elected.
Not if everyone gets out to vote.
Oh, I'm not even going to bother.
Sam?
Oh, hello, Marshal.
I'm not asking you to vote for me, Sam, but vote. This is one of the few countries where you have that privilege, and it's your duty to use it so we can make this town a good place to live.
now get off the soapbox, Marshal. This town will be the same no matter who gets elected.
You're so wrong, Sam.
Well, that's my opinion. Goodbye, folks.
I stopped by to say thanks for supporting me in that editorial, Mrs. Curtis.
I like the things that you seem to stand for, Marshal. But I'm a little concerned, too. What do you think are the reasons for the outbreaks of murders and robberies this last week?
Well, I have my suspicions, Mrs. Curtis, but I haven't been able to prove anything. It's almost as though... Stay inside, man.
Think the marshal will catch him, Mom? I don't know, Jimmy. I don't know.
Another holdup in broad daylight. That's some marshal we have. Can't even deal with a few petty outlaws. Oh, how do you do, ma'am? You're Mrs. Curtis?
Yes, I am.
I'm Elias Bradley, and this is Luke Potter, who's running for sheriff.
Mr. Potter?
It's an honor, ma'am.
It's terrible, all these shootings.
It was terrible indeed. Did you gentlemen come to see me for anything?
Well, we've come to congratulate you on your newspaper, Mrs. Curtis. We're indeed fortunate that you decided to settle here.
Well, I felt that there would be more opportunity in a new town.
Mrs. Curtis, if you require any assistance, just feel free to call upon me. As owner of the hotel and the stage line to Yuma, I have some influence in these parts.
Thank you.
Well, that's a fine-looking hand press you have there.
It belonged to my late husband.
Oh, if you'll allow me. You know, as a young man in San Francisco, I was a printer's devil. I can appreciate this machine. There aren't many of them in the West. Mrs. Curtis, since you're going to make your home in Gold Creek, I know you want the best for it.
Oh, I do.
Do you realize that last week alone there were more murders and holdups than in the past 6 months? Do you know what that means?
I'd like to find out.
Well, it means that our marshal doesn't command very much respect. I'd like to make a suggestion.
What's that?
In your next issue, why don't you print that you've examined Mr. Potter's qualifications more thoroughly, and you've switched your support to him as sheriff?
I'd only be too glad to look into Mr. Potter's qualifications. And if I felt that he were better suited, why, certainly I'd support him for sheriff.
That's fine, Mrs. Curtis. You won't regret it. Come along, Luke.
Good day.
Mom.
Yes, dear?
Mom, you aren't going to support Mr. Potter instead of Marshal Grant, are you?
I don't believe so, dear.
But you said that...
I only said that I'd examine Mr. Potter's qualifications. I don't believe that will change my mind.
Gee, that's good. I sure want Bill Grant for sheriff.
I'm not certain we'll get Bill Grant for sheriff. Unless he gets help of a very powerful kind. And where he can get such help, I don't know.
Well, it's Marshal Grant. He's lucky. It's just a scalp wound.
I'll get water and bandages.
Who are you?
My name doesn't matter. My friend and I want to help you.
What's a mask for, then?
Perhaps this letter from the governor will help explain.
Yes. I know the writing. Seen that signature many times. To all federal marshals, will you please give the bearer all possible cooperation? He's known as the...
We were on our way to Gold Creek to look into the coming election when I heard the shot and found you. What happened, Marshal?
Oh, I must have been ambushed. I guess that blasted owl hoot left me for dead.
Perhaps, or we might have frightened him off. Marshal, I read in the Clarions that you've been especially busy this week. What's the story on that?
Well, frankly, I believe it's an organized attempt to discredit me so that Luke Potter will be elected.
Do you have any idea who's behind it?
Well, the only men with influence and power are Stilson, who owns the gambling hall, and Elias Bradley, another important man who aims to be governor next spring. I sure could use some help, mister.
Dan and I'll do all we can to help.
We'll have to work fast. The election for sheriff is day after tomorrow.
Do you think you can ride now?
Yeah, I think I can make it. Only got to go slowly.
Brad? No, boss? Here it is, but you're not going to like what you wrote.
No. In response to a request from Mr. Elias Bradley, we've again examined the qualifications of Mr. Potter for sheriff. It is still our belief that Gold Creek should elect Marshal Grant. She's double-crossed us.
Want me names to go over and smash your press? Teach her a lesson?
That press is the most valuable thing in this town. It would be stupid to destroy it. Anyway, I think I may have a use for that myself.
Where have you been?
I led the marshal out in the range. I figured here was our chance to cinch the election. I even took a shot at him, too.
You killed him?
If this latest trick of yours has made a martyr out of Grant, you're through working for me.
Relax, he isn't dead. I saw a masked man and a young fella helping him out. They're even bringing him back to town now.
Masked man? He's not one of our crowd.
Sometimes I wonder why I have you idiots around. Well, this means we'll have to work fast. Now, I've got a little job for you two. I happen to know that Mrs. Curtis is having a meeting this afternoon at the Ladies' Aid Society. That means she'll be out of the shop. Here's what I want you to do.
Okay, there's nobody here.
What do we do if the kid comes in? Plug him?
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Don't lock the front door. We gotta get this stuff out of here. Come on, give me a hand.
That's it.
Well, that's the last of it. Go take the wagon out to the mill. Get this stuff into the shack. I'll pick up the boss and we'll meet you out there. Come on, I'll take care of this.
What the?
Mr. Hawkins! Mr. Hawkins! That boy.
Ah, good work, boys. Get this equipment inside. We've got a lot of work ahead of us.
Sure have. You aim to print a full newspaper edition.
Don't be a fool, Pete. We're getting out a special election extra, a sheet folded double.
Oh, Mr. Hawkins! Mr. Hawkins! Help! Somebody help me, please! Mr. Hawkins, are you all right? Are you all right, Mr.
Curtis! What's happened?
Oh, Marshal, I just came in and found Mr. Hawkins like this. Oh, Marshal, a masked man.
Don't be alarmed, Mrs. Curtis. My friend and I are working with the marshal.
Yes, they want to help us.
I think he'll be all right.
My press. All my equipment gone.
Apparently, someone wants to silence you, Mrs. Curtis, because he doesn't like what you're writing.
Oh, why didn't they just smash the press?
That's a good question, Marshal. The answer might be that the man behind this scheme knows the value of the press. Perhaps he'd tend to use it himself.
Masked?
It's all right, Sam. These two men are on the side of the law.
Well, if you say so, Marshal.
Just what happened here, Mr. Hawkins?
Well, I came back to ask Mrs. Curtis to save me a copy of the next issue. The door was locked. I knocked and somebody opened it, and then I got hit on the head.
Oh, Marshal.
Oh.
Jimmy's gone after the thieves.
What?
Dear Mom, I've gone after the crooks. Jimmy.
Why would he have done that? He's only 12 years old. If he had seen the thieves, why wouldn't he have gone into the street and called for help?
Mrs. Curtis, we can't expect a 12-year-old boy to act like an adult. Undoubtedly, Jimmy thought he was doing the right thing. Does he own a horse?
Yes, Prince, a pony.
Say, wait a minute. I just remembered. Out back, when I came in, I heard a wagon start up fast, like the driver was in a hurry.
Good lead, Mr. Hawkins. We'll follow those tracks. And try not to worry, Mrs. Curtis. We'll find your son. Come on, Marshal. Dan?
This is going to be a searching examination, as it were, of both candidates. And I wouldn't be surprised that Potter will win in a walk after the Clarion gets through with Marshal Grant. Ah, fine.
Not bad.
It's very good. Just stack the papers as they come off the press. Never mind the comment.
We might as well give up. Apparently we lost his tracks on that bedrock back there. We've been going around in circles for 2 hours. We might as well try to...
Wait. What's that?
Looks like Jimmy's horse, Prince.
Oh.
Why, it is Prince.
Look at this, sir.
Flour sack. Marshal, is there a flour mill in this area?
Yeah, there used to be an old mill, but it's burnt down now. As I recall, there's still an old shack standing and a lean-to.
We'll tie up the pony and then let's get going.
Well, I still haven't lost my touch with the press.
Papers are all packed on your horse, boss.
Good. I want to get back to town and distribute those papers right away.
What'll we do?
Well, you better stay here and see that no one stumbles across this place. After Potter's been in office for a while, we'll convince Mrs. Curtis to leave town. And we'll accidentally discover the press and have a paper of our own.
Well, that sounds good to me.
I'll check with you tomorrow. Boy. Well, see you later.
All right. Let's go inside. Somebody's in the lean-to.
Who is it? Oh, it's the Curtis kid. How long you been here? He must have seen everything. What do we do? Get him inside.
Let me go! Let me go! Let me go! Let me go!
So you were trying to spy on us, huh? Who sent you here?
Nobody sent me here. I came by myself.
Look, kid, this is no time for games. Either you tell us the truth or we'll find some way to get it out of you. All right, have it your own way.
Drop your guns. All right, Marshal. They're all yours. Tie them, Dan. Are you all right, Jimmy?
Yes, sir.
Here's the press and all the equipment. It looks as though we caught them red-handed.
There was another man here, too. He printed a lot of bad things about Marshal Grant. He said he was going back to town and pass out the papers before the election tomorrow.
Who was it?
Mr. Bradley. Say, why are you wearing a mask?
Oh, Jimmy, it's like a marshal's badge. It's a sign of service. I want to compliment you on the way you sent Prince back with that message. That showed a lot of intelligence.
Thanks.
Marshal, Jimmy will help you get these men back to town. Dan and I are leaving now. I only hope those papers haven't been distributed yet. Come on, Dan. Watch them close, Marshal.
What took you so long? Oh, I've never seen a one-sheet extra printed more quickly in my life.
Yeah, well, I saw Sam Hawkins a while back, and he told me the marshal and some of his friends right now are investigating the disappearance of that press.
Well, they can't track it to us. Anyway, after tomorrow, it won't matter. We'll be running this town. I'd better get rid of these. Come in.
Here's the box of cigars you ordered, Mr. Potter.
Thanks, Sam. Oh, incidentally, has the marshal found that printing press yet?
Well,
Yes, he has, Mr. Potter. We found it over at the burnout mill and arrested the 2 men who did the actual stealing.
Who are you?
Hawkins, would you introduce me to this gentleman?
This is Elias Bradley, mister.
Mr. Bradley, you're the man behind this whole scheme. You printed the papers to sway the election.
Oh, I haven't been near a printing press.
The printer's ink on your hands proves otherwise.
It's ridiculous.
Stop it, mister.
Well, good work, Dan. Let's see if we can find those papers. Mr. Hawkins, I suggest you look in the cabinet first.
Why, you dirty, low-down snake. And you must be in this as deep as he is, Potter.
Now, wait a minute, Sam.
What about the murders and robberies in Gold Creek? You were behind those, too, weren't you?
No. No, it was Bradley.
Potter.
Yes, Potter. What about Bradley?
Now, listen, Bradley, I'm not going to hang for the things that you and Pete Names did.
Shut up, you idiot.
Listen, mister, if I'm willing to testify against Bradley and the others, will the law give me a break?
That'll be up to the jury, Potter.
Well, I'll take that chance. Yes, I'll take that chance.
Marshal Grant, elected sheriff.
How does it feel to be first sheriff of a new town, Grant?
Oh, wonderful. But I never could have made it without you two.
And thank you very much for all you've done for me and Jimmy. We're having a jamboree tonight for the sheriff. Could you and...
We'd like to attend, Mrs. Curtis, but now that Bradley and his men are behind bars, Dan and I must be on our way. Good luck, Sheriff.
Thanks.
So long, son.
I hope I'll see you again.
Perhaps you will, Jimmy. Goodbye, Mrs. Curtis. Come on, Dan.
Goodbye, Sheriff.
Bye.
You know, I never asked his name.
Why, Mom, you know who that is. Remember the stories Dad used to tell me about him and Tonto and his horse Silver?
Those are only stories, dear. There is no such person.
There is, too. Here's a silver bullet he gave me. He's the Lone Ranger.
Silver!